our spirit. What is it? Where does it go? Are we able to see them using our mind's eye? If so, just what can spirit teach us? Welcome to School Through Spirit. Host DeEtte Renee is a certified psychic medium and master teacher of psychic and mediumship development through LWISSD. DeEtte was born knowing spirit and now is here to help you better understand the spirit world. And now your host, DeEtte Renee.
Welcome. This is DeEtte here on School Through Spirit with WLTK-DB.com. This is a show of which I do talk about things of a spiritual nature. Each morning I start the discussion with something that Spirit has given me. Usually I've been using this amazing book that I have been reading out of, a beautiful guest sent to me, and it has been my book to go to talk about those things in the morning. And then I go on with a guest. Today I have Miss Chaplin Jodi Dehn. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. She is a survivor angel, and she deals with people with trauma, which is amazing. And then we do end the show with a 5-card stud, which is me pulling cards for everybody. Good morning, Lee. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Tim. No, I am the late one. Why? Because me and Todd started talking, and oh my God, my throat chakra is just plugged down. Me and Todd started talking, and quite frankly, I didn't want to give up the conversation. And finally, I was like, oh God, it's 13 after Todd. He's like, oh my God, we're late. And I'm like, it's okay. But anyway, and vacation was awesome. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know who you are with the Facebook, the hearts and the stars, but thank you. I love, beautiful. Oh my God. Good morning, Miss Angela. So I flipped the book, guys. Literally the credits were playing. The intro was playing, and I flipped the book, and hi, Rob. I knew it was you, Rob, by the heart and the little star. I just knew it was you, but I didn't want to say nothing. Love you too, hon. So I flipped the book already while it was doing, and I can't seem to shut it. So I know this is what I'm supposed to talk about today. So let's read. It's quite short. It's quite short, not a lot, but it says enjoy everything, need nothing. Some powerful words there. It's this essential truth. Is there such a thing as too much of something? The answer is no, of course not. But there is such a thing as too much of needing for something. In our personal relationships, needing someone is the fastest way to kill the relationship. So feel unneeded instead. For the greatest gift you give someone is the strength and the power not to need you for nothing. And so God suggests this: enjoy everything and need nothing. And I will tell you what, this is profoundly strong. It is mind-blowing to me on many levels, on many levels. Why? Because this is something I really started working with this last week. This is something I hugely started working with this last week. Because as y'all know, I took my grandson to Florida, and we had a blast. But a lot of things happened. Like my car had to go to the shop for a wheel bearing prior. People did not pay, some things that were supposed to get paid. Not anybody on here. So don't think anything like that. It was people that I'd loaned out money to. Readings seemed to have stopped beforehand. I mean, just so many things happen. And literally, it put me on a really tight budget, which I don't like being on a tight. I'm already tight budgeted anyway. So to go on vacation and be really tight budgeted, it sucks. And I literally went to myself, I can need, but that's not going to get me anywhere. So literally I put out to Spirit. I'm like, how do I manifest money? How do I manifest everything to work out the way it's going to be? Now, guys, I do this on a regular basis, but when I get myself in that, what I feel like is a jam between a rock and a hard spot, I'm like anybody else. I go straight to the, oh shit, feeling. And I literally went, Spirit, how do I make this happen? I'm starting to feel desperate. I got money, but we're not hungry or anything like that. We're still doing everything, but it was a feeling I had. And literally we were pulling into Walmart, and there's something I do every time I pull into a parking lot. I go, front row, please, front row, please, and thank you. That's simple. In the busiest parking lot, I will pull in and somebody will be pulling out of that front row spot, or it will be open. And it's never failed. It's never once failed me. Why? Because I have a desire for something, not a need for something, not a want for something. It's just a desire. Front row, please, and thank you. I've been doing it for years. And I did that. I went, oh, thank you, Spirit. I needed to hear that. I really needed to be reminded of how I walk through life. So I literally went, Spirit, money, thank you. Please and thank you. That's all I did. Money, please and thank you. And here it happened. I'm not kidding you. 2 people signed up for a class. 2 people scheduled readings literally in moments. I literally said that and boom, there it was. There it was. And I was like, holy shit, because I needed to be reminded of this. I needed to be reminded of this because so often we allow our wants, our desperation to consume us. It's how do I make this work? How do I make this happen? Oh my God, I have to have this and da da da. And we have this mind chatter that goes, hello, Jamie, that goes through our head, and it's incredible. It's like it's paralyzing. It will stop us in our tracks because literally it's I want, I need. Oh my God. And when you need and you want, you're going to do whatever you can to get more. And that's a crazy train. That is a train you don't want to be on. Because when you start to put yourself into that aspect, nothing becomes fun anymore. Nothing becomes enjoyable. And then all you do is need and want. And it's awful. But when you turn around and you go, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm just going to love this. I'm just going to have this in my life because it has meaning. No other reason. No other. And that includes your job, guys. I mean, excuse me. This must be holding true to somebody because my throat chakra is tickling and opened up and I just want to cough it out. But that includes jobs, guys. That includes jobs, houses, your cars, everything. When you put something into that, I got to have this. Good morning, Jenny. All of a sudden it becomes a burden. It stops being what you wanted it to be. It has to be a desire. It has to be something you thrive for, you love with, you want to do or want to have because your heart wants it. And that's what desire is. It's not your mind wanting it. It's not your stomach wanting it. It's your heart going, I desire this. And that's when you're going to start things coming to you. Magically, things are going to come to you. Asking for things you want or need creates what you send to the universe. Need, out, want. Exactly, Tim. Exactly. 110%. I like that. You're sending to the universe need and want. Exactly. Lee is so excited to get a hangout with Jamie Lee. Oh, I love that. That's true. That is coming up, Lee. Not for another weekend, ladies. So, but that is very true. And sometimes we don't stop and think about what we are manifesting to the world. Sometimes we're not thinking about that. Sometimes we're not going, oh my God, this, that, or the other. No, sometimes we have to stop and think, what are we pushing out there? What are we pushing out there? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've had many times in my life, so many times in my life, more than I'd like to count, where, the bills are due and I don't have money to pay for it. And I am willing to do almost anything. I have sold things I never thought I would dream about selling because I'm in a desperation to do something. And when I finally let go of that desperation, things come in. When I put in my mind, the bills are paid, the bills are covered, and that money is there for it, I know I don't have to worry. I don't have to. And I know some people watching this or listening to this are going, yeah, that's a bunch of hootenanny. And I get that. But trust me, I'm a person that this is how I live. This is how I create now. Why? Because I have spent so much of my time in that want field, that desperation of, I have to feed my kids. I have to do this. I have to do this. Oh my God. Oh my God. And my whole being becomes consumed with the need and the want, that I give up the why I want to do this. Why? The why is my desire. Okay. And I know that sounds foolish, but why do you want to feed your kids? Why? Because I love them. Because I desire them to be healthy. I desire them to not have hunger pains. I desire for them to have nice or decent clothes. I desire them to have a good education. That's why I do it. It's because I have a desire. It's not because I have to. I mean, yeah, the good, the judge on the thing, if you don't, is going to say, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I know. I mean, don't come back at me with a lot of backlash. But truly, most people, 99% of people that have children, have a desire to love them and have them grow and watch them bloom and blossom and just love to watch that. And it's a desire to be part of that. It's a desire to sit back and give to that, to feed that and fuel it. And when you do that, you get more of what you desire, which is to give it to them and watch them feed and watch them grow and watch them blossom. And it's awesome. But you're going to do it from a desire standpoint, something that's not going to consume you, because when you start the consumption of it, all of a sudden you have left to give them, a lot left to give them. And then you give that child worry, and it becomes really hard. Oh, good morning, Bill. Love you too, hon. So many things, so many things. I mean, look at just simple things in life, guys. Simple things in life. You create something, you build it, and then it overtakes you. It's not a desire, it's anymore. It becomes a beast. It becomes a monster. It's not what you love. It's what you grow to almost hate. And that's when you have to stop and start all over again. And start with something else that you have a desire with. Something else that goes, oh, I really want to do this. And why? Okay. And I'll tell you what, speaking about that, and I've only got a couple of minutes, I've had a real big struggle bus with myself, because anybody that watches knows that this station is dissolving at the end of the month. And I've had to sit with, will I continue this show or not? Have I grown something that I love and I show up for and I want to continue? Or do I want to walk away? So I've been sitting with that. And I will tell you, as of this morning, I'm going to continue somehow. I don't know how yet. I don't know if it'll be independently. I don't know if it'll be on somebody's network. I don't know if it'll be on an actual radio station, like AM station. I don't know how. I guess with me putting that out there, Spirit will present the way to do it. But I had to sit with it going, is this a desire? Is this something I really enjoy doing? Is this something I really like to create for people? Or has it become a beast that I feel like I have no choice but to do? And I will tell you what, for a while, I felt like I had no choice. I felt driven, like, oh my gosh, if I miss one day, the world's going to come to an end. And it really isn't going to. It's never going to come to an end. But this morning I had to have that talk to realize that what I do desire is I desire showing up. I desire seeing you guys. I desire being there for people. And I desire doing this in a way, because as this heals you guys, or you get wisdom from this, it also does something with me. And it's proven to me over a period of time that I've been able to grow. And it's given me a lot out of it. So as of today, guys, I will find a way to continue. I don't know how I'm going to continue, but I'm going to find a way to continue. Okay? So remember that thing, guys. Need nothing, desire everything. Want for nothing, guys. Want for nothing. I can't tell you anything much more than that as just want for nothing. Okay. With that being said, we're going to take a quick station break. And when we come back, we're going to have Miss Jodi from Survivor Angels come in. We will see you in a few. This is Yet with School Through Spirit with WLTK-DB.com. See you in a few. Everybody, welcome back. This is Jet with School Through Spirit on WLTK-DB.com. This morning, I have got Miss Chaplin Jodi, and she is from Survivor Angels, and we're going to bring her in and let her explain to you all that she does. Welcome, Miss Jodi. Hi.
Good morning, Jet. How are you?
So warm and snuggly. I love it.
It is so cold here this morning. I'm like, are we going to have fall or are we going straight to winter?
I thought the same. I'm glad I'm not the only one because I just got back from Florida night before last, and we got back at like 11 o'clock and it was cold when I got here, but I thought, oh boy. And then I walked out yesterday and I was in these long pajamas that went to almost my ankles with pants under, and everybody else is in shorts. And I'm like, I'm frozen. And they're like, Mom, it's because you were in Florida. I'm like, I get it, but it's really cold here. And then I woke up to this and I went, see, it wasn't just me. It's freezing. Freezing. I'm sorry.
Oh, yesterday was football, so you could kind of say, okay, it was a perfect football Sunday, but now it's Monday.
But now it's Monday. We can go back to 90. It's only September. It's only September.
Or at least 80.
Yes, at least I will take 80. I would be happy with 80 at this point, but I think it was like 63 degrees and rainy. So,
right.
Yes.
Yes.
Awful cold, awful cold. So, Miss Jodi, and I know you're Chaplin, but I like to say Miss Jodi because I just, you remind me of a Southern lady, a Southern woman that I should be just going Miss to.
But that's so funny because so many people will say Ms. Jodi, and I'm just like, I'm as upper Midwest as you can get.
I know.
And so it's like this the only time I was really in the South was when I was in the military. And I did spend a good amount of time there, but still it just cracks me up.
Ever since the first time I met you, I want to go Miss Jodi. And you just look to me, you just got this Southern charm about you.
Maybe it's one of my previous lives.
It might be.
Uh-huh.
I would take that. I would definitely take that, especially since the moment I've seen you, and people don't realize Jodi and I only met a couple of months ago when we sat across the table. I now looked at you like, I know this lady. I love this lady. I don't even know why, but I know her. I need to hold her and never let go.
Yeah, we had like this instant bond before we even said hello. And I love it when that stuff happens.
It is. It's crazy. It's crazy. And do you find that happening to you more often? I know it is with me, finding people just going, wow, these are my people.
Yes. And I can't explain it. Sometimes I will sit and think, is it because the older we get, the more open we become to our past.
Mm-hmm.
And so I honestly believe that a lot of us, we've known each other in another day and time.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. Sorry, I'm making the cat give me back my blanket. I was trying to let it have it. I'm done. No, I agree with you 110% on that. Just because and I'm slowly getting into what you do. Slowly working that way. Because we are talking about that a little bit. And because you do with trauma, a lot with trauma, do you think some people are sometimes bringing some of that old trauma into current lives, possibly from past lives?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I just did a podcast with Victoria Spagnola.
Okay.
She was there at Woodstock with this as well. I don't know if you had a
I
chance
think
to meet her.
no, you and
Right.
me didn't move.
Yes. Victoria and I talked about this. I wouldn't say it at great length, but certainly enough in the podcast. We all bring generational trauma with us. And I know I've seen it now passed on to my kids and even to their kids. And I'm not sure how far back it goes, but I can honestly say going one generation back, on my dad's side of the family, they were Germans from Russia.
Okay.
So they were forced out of Germany, moved into Russia, then they were forced out of Russia and moved to the States. There's a whole lot of history and baggage that goes along with all of that, as it does with many of our immigrant communities.
Right.
We're all immigrants,
Yeah, we are.
whatever generation you want to go back to. And so then you just have to think that those previous generations that were over there in Europe or Asia or, whichever continent or area you want to say, those past lives that are part of us and are in our DNA
Hmm.
are still with us because it's part of our DNA.
Right.
That's why trauma really, some people will say, well, I never had a traumatic incident. Well, maybe you didn't in your lifetime, but one of your ancestors did, and it's been passed along. And if it wasn't dealt with, then in some way you are still dealing with it now in your current day life. And so
Hmm.
that's what Survivor Angels is all about,
Yeah.
is helping to bring that forward and give people some options on how they can deal with it that they are comfortable with. A lot of people don't want to go to therapists. I
Right.
get that.
Hmm.
Totally get that. It took me forever before I finally went to mine because of uh, well, how should I say, trauma from when I was in the military. And
Right.
it finally got to the point where it was going to break me. And so I went. I'm so glad that I did. But
Right.
I was like a lot of people, and I just dug my heels in and said, nope, I don't need it. I can heal myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, but they helped me. And that's been 15 years ago now. Best thing I ever did.
I love that. I love that because, I have a diagnosis. I will say I had a diagnosis of PTSD. And what I do mean by had it is because I got the diagnosis some years ago. And over the last, 5, 6 years, whatever it's been, well, since 2017, Spirit really put me in a realm to heal myself. And actually, it's probably before that because they threw me up to Hayward, Wisconsin, because you go there to hide. My life crumbled and I end up in Hayward because, of course, you go to Hayward to hide. You do because there's lots of trees or lots of people, at giving time.
Mhm.
And it made me blow up my life even more to where it was really unmanageable, because now I'm in uncharted territory, not doing anything. And I will honestly say Spirit put me there because, of course, I live my life by Spirit. And when I look back, I mean, back then I could tell you, oh my God, I felt like my world was crumbling. And really, they were just bringing everything to a head, saying, you need to start looking at these things. You need to start addressing these things. And they have really, over the course of since 2014 or before, really started kind of having me heal myself. But it's been Spirit bring these things up and going, look at this, change the kaleidoscope. Why do you think you experience this? Why do you think you had this? Why do you have, you know what I mean? All of that. So I've gone through this whole thing. I mean, I'm actually in a documentary for PTSD and how you healed how you got through it. And my doctor, this last go around, looked at me and she went over the whole checklist and she goes, Deanna, I said, what? She goes, you have maybe mild PTSD, but I don't even know if I'd given you the diagnosis anymore. She goes, I'm putting this in your history. It's still there, but it's in your
Nice.
history.
Okay.
And I looked at her and I'm like, what? And she goes, you don't even get triggered anymore. And I'm like, it's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of
Mhm.
therapist, spirit being my therapist. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yes.
and that's the way
Absolutely.
I did it, was still therapy, but in a different way, that I was willing to get off my wagon if I can heal myself and get on this, to say somebody else has got to show me how to do this, you know?
Right. And yeah, my PTSD is what's considered diagnosed as complicated PTSD.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. I mean, there's several
Oh,
different
there's
veins
several
of
different kinds.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Right. And so I will still get triggered. But I have learned how to manage it when I'm triggered. And
Hmm.
I have also learned how to, like when I go into a situation where I know there could possibly be triggers, I know what I need to do ahead of time.
I
And
love that.
that's where my angels come in.
I love that.
And it's amazing what angels can do and who angels are. And they're the thing, and it's like therapy. People don't necessarily go to angels because they think they're this religious thing.
Oh, yeah.
They're not. Angels are non-religious energies.
Mhm.
So if you think you're going to be sucked into some kind of religion, you're not. They
Yeah,
go way back to the beginning of time before there was any religion out there. So all the ancient cultures talk about them. You see them in all the ancient writings. And then,
right,
of course, then when the quote organized religions came in, then they're there because of the ancient scripts and everything and texts.
right.
That's what I love about them is because they literally are there for everybody. They're non-judgmental. They have no kind of agenda
Yep,
whatsoever
yep,
except to help you. They are messengers.
yep.
So they carry these messages back and forth, and it's up to us to learn how to be open to them and listen to them.
Yeah. And they all have different purposes, even for
Right?
idiots like me. I'm not the angel person. I will never scream to be Doreen Virtue, Miss Jody, nobody. I'm like, I'm the one that goes, yep, they're there. My sister, God bless her heart, when she was alive, used to work with archangels to fight, per se, demons, but in a religious way, and she would tell me, Dad, if you ever seen an angel, you'd be terrified and run. I'm like, what? She goes,
Yes.
they are terrifying beings. These are not what you see on the pretty shelves or these gorgeous little feathers. She goes, no, they are huge. They look like they've been through 1,000 battles. They're beat to hell. They don't even look human. And they're scary, scary things. So that's what I've always grown up going. An angel isn't this. I mean, they're pretty. Don't what we've made them look into. They're pretty, but I've always grown up with this idea that an angel is going to be the scariest thing I've ever seen. And I think it's funny to me because my first gallery I ever did, terrified, totally screwed it up, totally bad. And all of a sudden I had my something was very tall behind me. I didn't know what it was. Very tall. I didn't know what it was, but I could feel this behind me. And then when I got done, I looked at the very end of the gallery, I could see my sister, and granted, she'd been passed away, and she was super excited. Well, whatever was really tall shrunk, wrapped its like arms around me, and then I felt like a wing closure around me. And I'm like, who is here? And all I heard was Uriel. Who the hell's Uriel? You know what I mean? I don't know who Uriel is. And I'm like, what the fuck is, excuse my language, but you know what I mean? That's what I was. I had to go and Google what Uriel was. I went, oh, that makes sense. Well, he likes to show up at galleries. He likes to show up when I'm teaching. Still can't tell you why, but he loves to, you know? So,
Mhm.
and then,
Yeah. I mean, Uriel, I would say, the fact that he's showing up like that with you is he's bringing forth the wisdom piece,
okay.
especially
Yeah,
because you're doing the readings,
yep.
and probably also maybe some peace for
Hmm.
you too, that maybe as you're doing a reading, you've got somebody who's got some kind of woo-hoo going on,
Yeah.
and you need to figure out how to communicate that to them. So I would say that's probably why Uriel likes to hang with you, which is great.
It is. Well, I'm always busy, but it's really funny because, and I always I have a master guide with me all the time because being a medium, I get this guide that just helps me. Well, not a master. He's my helper guide, my gatekeeper that helps everything. You know what I mean? Helps everything. Well, I felt like my gatekeeper was changing. I'm like, where's he at? I don't feel him, blah, blah, blah. And I was with a friend who's devout Catholic. She's a Roman Catholic, but she's also an ordained spiritualist minister. So you tell me where she fits. She's just awesome. And she doesn't deal with a lot of the archangels either, but her and I were walking and talking. She's like, where is your gatekeeper? And I said, it's left. She goes, you've got a new one. And I'm like, I know, but I don't understand the energy. She goes, yeah, it's an angel. And I kept hearing seraphim, seraphim, seraphim. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know who this is, but she's like, you need to claim that. I'm like, okay, well, I claim Seraphim as my new gatekeeper. I have no clue who this is. So later on, I Googled, I went, well, damn. So, but I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a guardian angel. Guardian angels are not the same as the archangels.
Right.
I work with 17 of the archangels. Wow. There are more than that.
Right.
But I kind of had to cut it off at some point for my own sanity.
Right.
And of course, I'm an ordained pastor. I have a Master of Divinity degree for a year. Right. And before I went to seminary, my senior pastor had said to me, if you come out of seminary with your faith intact, it'll be nothing short of a miracle.
Wow.
What? Hello? What does that mean? Well, you start reading a lot of these ancient texts, and a lot of them are in Greek and Hebrew and some of the other ancient languages and everything. And you're going, okay, this is opening this door and this is opening this door. And you start making connections of things. But then and I know somebody's going to hit me on this one, before you walk out of those seminary doors, what they say to you is you can't preach that from the pulpit or you will absolutely terrify people.
Exactly.
Bring in the paranormal community. They know all about this. I mean, they might not know specifically about the angels, but they certainly know about all these other pieces, that there's so many different dimensions. For the angels, they call them realms.
Right.
And it's so interesting because our reality is something that we have made up ourselves.
Bingo.
It's not the true reality. And it can be a bit frightening the deeper you go with it. And that's what I have found with myself, is that I am going deeper and deeper. And of course, I'm getting up there in age now too. And I don't know how much longer I will be part of this world, to put it in terms that we understand.
Right.
And so at the same time, while it's a little frightening to me, it's also absolutely intriguing and amazing and enlightening. How many more adjectives can I put on this?
Yeah, well, it's the truth. Yeah.
Right. And so when I hear about all these young people and young adults that are struggling with life, I think it's because they don't really have anything to grab onto. They just are sort of free floating. And again, it doesn't need to go back to the religious piece at all. Because as you and I have talked here, we have our spirit guides, we have our master guides, we have our angels. I mean, go down the line with all of that.
Right.
I believe it all comes back to one place. It all comes back to creator, to divine, however you capture that for yourself.
Exactly.
And it does give you a huge sense of peace and calm, knowing that there is an energy bigger than all of us,
right,
that has got our backs.
Yeah. It is. In a spirit, I got this in a reading once, and it blew my mind, Jodi. I will tell you, it blew my mind. because we always look at life as being 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years, whatever, and it feels long, feels so long. But when the reading came through and a family was really missing their son, he goes, oh no. And they went, when he goes, it's only 3 seconds. You'll be back with me quick. And they went, I even went, what are you talking about? He goes, we're only there on earth for 3 seconds. It's kind of like dipping your head in water and popping back out for the soul. It's that quick. We feel it here like, oh my God, it's eternity. But really for the soul, it's a moment. It's so fast, you know?
Right. And the other piece is because of our egos, we are so all about our bodies
Mm-hmm.
and our appearance.
Yeah.
And what we should be about is who we are inside, which is our soul.
Mm-hmm.
Because our soul goes on until the creator, the divine, whoever says enough. And I'm not sure what happens at that point.
Right.
But our bodies are the temporary piece.
Right.
So I mean, granted, we need to stay healthy. We need to take care of our bodies so that, you know, we can live a healthy life. But beyond that, all the attention that we put on this casing
Right.
is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not primary. It's
Exactly.
it's the internal piece that has been already going for
Mm-hmm.
centuries after centuries, millenniums.
Right.
How far back do you want to go? And it's going to
Exactly.
continue going on. And that's the piece that is, I think that's the hope that we have in our lives, is
Right.
where this whole thing here goes away, but the inner piece doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's hard for people when they lose a loved one, but I know last November my kids lost their dad.
Right.
And uh, it was difficult for both of them, extremely difficult. Um, he had a stroke. He'd had one a couple of weeks before, and then he had another one that put him in the hospital, and eventually was his demise. And so we're at the hospital because we'd gotten the kind of the final phone call. They took him into surgery and just tried to fix all of this, but it wasn't happening.
Right.
And as we're sitting with the doctors and they're explaining to the kids, you know, what state their dad was at, they needed to make the decision of what to do.
Right.
And I had said to them before we walked in the room, I said, I can't help you with this. You know, it's
Yeah.
your dad. I'm out of the picture. I know I'm your mom. I'm here for support. But I said, you're the ones that have to tell the doctors what you want them to do.
Yeah.
And so they did. They said, we realize that, you know, we don't want him to suffer. If he is suffering, we
Mm-hmm.
need to let him go.
Right.
I might start to cry. I'm an intuitive empath and I ache for my kids. I ache for everybody.
Right.
But so they did that. And they went in to say their goodbyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, I said, do you think your dad would be okay with me going in? Because up until that point, I had not gone in to see him.
Right.
And they felt that was good because they thought that it might upset him and they didn't want him upset.
Right.
Get that. I mean, not that there was any animosity or anything between us, but just the fact that I was there at that point in his life.
Right.
And so they said, yeah, go in. So I went in. He was gone. I could tell he was already gone,
Yeah.
but he was in the room.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, you know, I put my hand on his arm because touch is so important. For all of you who are listening and watching, just know if someone is ill or whatever the case is, touch means everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, I said, you were loved, you are loved. I said, it's okay. You can go. I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I said, I've got the kids. I'll protect him. He was a police officer
Oh, okay.
for like 44 years total.
Protection is
He
huge.
was very, yes, he
Yeah.
was very protective of the kids. In fact, at times overprotective, as many of them are. And I totally understand that because he was inner city cop. But I said, I've got the kids. And of course they're adults, they're in their 40s. I said, I'll protect them the best I can. And I said, I know that you'll watch over them no matter what.
Yeah.
And so I stepped out of the room and they went back in one more time. And we left the hospital. And as we're driving home, my daughter got the phone call because she was the contact. And this was just a matter of 17, 18 minutes. Don't ask me why those numbers just popped in my head, but that's about how long it was.
Right.
And they said, your dad has passed. And both of the kids looked at me and said, he was gone while we were still there, wasn't he? And I said, yes, he was. I said, but he was there. His spirit was there. And my daughter felt it. My son, he's still a little iffy on all of this.
It's okay.
And so it was, we kind of talked on the car ride home and everything. The next interesting piece that happened, and this is where I say everybody needs to open themselves to tap into this other part of all of our lives.
Right.
It was like 4:30, 4:45 in the morning when we got back home. And my husband was up. He's an early riser. And he and I were sitting there talking, and my son had gone up to bed. And it was a short time later. I don't remember how much longer it was, but he came downstairs and he goes, okay, you guys believe in this shit, excuse my language.
Right.
And he had two phones in his hand. Well, one was his dad's phone that he had taken, and the other was his phone. He had a call on his phone from his dad's phone. But his dad's phone didn't show an outgoing call.
Oh, wow.
And he says, Mom, what does this mean? I said, that's your dad telling you he's okay. Don't worry about him.
Yep.
And he said, okay. He said, now the next weird piece, Mom, look at the time. And I don't remember exactly what time it was. In one of my podcasts, I talk about this, and I said what the time is. My brain's getting older, so I forget some of the details. The time was his badge number.
Oh my gosh.
You can't explain that one yet.
You can't explain that other than it's just a second piece to go, there's no way.
Right?
You can't deny that.
Right?
You can't deny that. You can try, but you're not going to.
Yeah. And my ex had always said that he knew that Michael was his guardian angel.
Right.
But he also Saint Jude was his patron saint. He was raised Catholic.
Right.
And of course, Saint Jude, as you probably know, is the patron saint of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a police officer, boy, you need that patron saint in your back pocket.
Yeah, they need that.
Yeah. And so my son now since then has opened himself up a little bit more. He will call me because he's out in the state of Washington, and he will say, okay, this happened, Mom. What does this mean? And he's even got his boys now starting to open up with it too.
I love that. That's incredible.
Angel spirits, master guides, spirit guides, we all have them. It's a wonderful life, to coin a really cliche phrase.
It is. And in my world, I teach about the master guide, your helper guide, your joy guide, all your guides. I never talk about angels because to me, that's not my realm. I don't understand them. Even when I heard seraphim and looked it up, I still got no answers, just so you know, because there's no answers on what seraphim is.
Seraphim is one of the levels of the angels.
Right.
So like there's the angels, which are within our dimension, the archangels, which go back and forth. You talk about time travelers. Angels are major time travelers.
Yeah, they're all over the dimensions.
Back and forth dimensions, realms, whatever you want to call them.
All over the place.
And then you've got the principalities and the dominions and the seraphim and the cherubim. And I think I've forgotten something in there, but yeah. And they all have their roles. The seraphim sit up at the very top with the creator, with the divine.
Oh, okay.
And guard that position up there.
Okay.
That realm, that dimension.
Okay.
And we will not get to that dimension, to that realm, until our souls have gone through enough recycling, shall we
Mhm.
say,
No, I
to
get it. Yeah.
we come to fully understand everything. So that's why every time our soul goes around this world,
Yeah.
it is gaining more and more knowledge and understanding, and we just keep moving up to
Yeah.
come back down, come back in.
Yeah. I explain that to people and they go, oh, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this life again. I'm like, yeah, you are. And you're going to do it many times. Why? Because this is like a roller coaster ride. Before you get on, it's like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. You get on, you go, oh shit. And then you get off, you go, I can't wait to do it again. That's what life is. I'm like, think about your soul. It knows unconditional love. That's what it knows. The only way it understands other things is if it gets into this vehicle and experiences other things and how you're going to deal with it and what you're going to heal and what you're going to grow and learn. And then when the body's no longer there, the soul takes that knowledge and then it goes to like life review, for lack of better terminology, just to kind
Right?
of figure out how your soul has interacted and takes all aspects of everything in. And then it goes, what do I want to learn again? What do I want to bring in this time? And then it does. And it's just to level it up and to keep, again, lack of better terms, leveling up, because people understand leveling up, or
Yes.
getting a better desk or the corner desk. And I got to tell you a story about this because I've never talked this much in a podcast in my life since my beginnings. Maybe you'll make sense of this. Now, I'm a Reiki master, okay? And one of the
Mhm.
symbols that I have is a yod. Not every lineage has a yod, and it's basically a symbol that just says God within me. And I have some of the symbols tattooed down my spine because, quite frankly, I got sick and tired of doing this. Every time I did this, was over it. Put them on my body with intention, and I'm just going to be an open healer the rest of my life. I'm good with it. Anyway, so the yod is tattooed at the top of my spine, well, where my spine and my body meet, my neck and my body meet. And a little over a year ago, I was learning trance, and an astrologer looks at me. She goes, "Why do you have the yod on the back of you?" And I went, "Well, it means God within." She goes, "Oh, you came in screwing your life, didn't you?" And I went, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "What's your birthday?" Because astrologers, that's what they do. And she, all my numbers. She goes, "There it is. You got the yod." And she walks away. And I'm like, okay. So I asked another astrologer, I said, "What's that mean?" She goes, "Let me see." She goes, "Yeah, you got a yod." I said, "What's a yod mean?" She goes, "It means in this lifetime, your soul decided it wanted to level up. So what it did is it took all these bits and pieces and it threw it into one lifetime. So you're going to have these incredible experiences that are probably going to be pretty heavy, pretty like you're getting whipped your whole life. But because when you go back, you want to be able to it's like fitting as much as into one lifetime as you can. And it's so that your soul can kind of go up a ladder when it gets on the other side." And I
Okay.
went, "Does that mean I don't have to come back anymore?" And they went, "No."
No.
No, it just means that you're going, I want to learn more. I want to understand more. I want to have more experiences. And I
Mhm.
thought that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting because it made sense to a life. If that make, you know what I mean? It made sense to
Yes.
me. It
Yes,
just
it
made
did.
sense.
I know we talk about people who are old souls.
Yes.
My oldest granddaughter, the day she was born, my daughter and I looked at her and we both go, old soul. And it has proven true every single day. And as we're out and about in the public and everything, I don't know about you, but all of a sudden I'll be drawn to a person and I'll go, you're an old soul. And not sure if it's true or not, but it's like, so we have maybe passed before
Hmm.
that we knew each other or saw each other in
Yeah.
another life. But that connection, it grabs you.
It grabs you.
It really, really does.
Hmm.
And I know my husband has said too, why is it that the older that we get and we're out and about, that it seems like we recognize more people?
Hmm.
I think there again, it's because we are more open. And so we are remembering
Yeah.
what we have been carrying through.
Yeah.
And
I agree with
his mom used to read coffee grounds. Very psychic. And he got some of that from mom and his oldest daughter,
Right.
which you met her at Woodstock. She was
Yeah.
next to me.
Yeah.
She is incredibly psychic as well, and you can see it in her children as well. Of course, her husband is too. So her kids got the double wham. But no, and I think that's what it is that the more you experience life,
Mm-hmm.
that it it's sort of like you get a flat tire, you know,
Yeah.
it may or not be trauma, but you're struggling with it. And so you've got to change the tire. So you're jacking up the vehicle
Right.
and you get the new tire put on to go again. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what life struggles and trauma are in this life,
Right.
is for us to put that new tire on, a new outlook, maybe a new perspective going forward.
Yes.
And that's what helps us to, as you say, level up then
Yeah, I hate that
as
term.
we
I
go.
don't know a better one.
It works. I'm
Yeah,
going to
it
use that from now on.
well, it's like taking an elevator going to the next floor. I don't know. But well, it's hard because it's hard to explain in terms that we will understand because it's not the same there. Does that
Right.
you understand that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because you
So,
have to remove all the trappings of this world,
right,
which we don't know anything else except this world. So unless you've come up some of those levels, it's
right,
just like you're crazy. And that's why a lot of people in the paranormal field and in spirit, let's say the spiritual world,
right.
we are all spiritual beings, whether people want to believe that or not, we are. But in the spiritual world, and I just forgot where I was going with this.
It's okay. I do it all the time. I just keep blabbing.
And what was that? All right, regroup. But I know where I was going in an indirect way. But what I
Right.
was getting to though is it it upsets me, and it's true. It really, being an intuitive empath, it upsets
Mhm.
me when I see people isolate themselves because of their trauma or because of their struggles, that they think in isolating themselves from the world that they're protecting themselves and their life is going to be better, it's going to be safer. And in reality, it's the opposite. They
Right.
need to go out and realize what tools they have, you
Mhm.
know, to maneuver their way through life and
Right.
find out truly how strong they are. And that's where the angels come in. The angels appear in so many different ways to people. It's not like you're going to see this full manifestation of some guy standing in front of you with the full blown wings and the halo. And I mean, whatever you think angels look like you said earlier,
Yeah.
some of them are quite scary if they
Yeah.
manifest themselves to you that way.
Yeah.
But they will come in the form of, well, I was walking across the yard here a few years back, and all of a sudden I got this whoosh of sparkles off to my right. And it was cobalt blue.
Right.
And I thought I was getting a migraine. I was just waiting for all the squiggles to come in the aura and all of that. And it didn't happen. And then I'm like, okay, Michael, will you quit being a smart ass here? Okay. What do you want me to be paying attention to? You know, and
Right.
I've had with solid sweeps of color, I've had with numbers and feathers and bells and smells. Angels will come to you through certain smells too. And
Mhm.
it's interesting when I travel, if I go to, like, say, Hawaii or the Caribbean, places like that,
Right.
angels seem to come through to me more prevalently in smells. And of course, each of the archangels have their own.
Okay. That's
People
interesting.
kind of
Okay.
look at me and go, well, no, you're just, those tropical places have more smells. True, they do have more smells. And so you have to be able to discern, to sort of sort out which is just the native smells to the area, to the region,
Right.
are the angels.
Ah, thank you for
So,
that.
yeah, they can come through in all kinds of different ways. I like to, like, first thing in the morning, they'll come through in dreams, big time in dreams. That's a major way angels will come to you and bring you messages.
Right.
First thing in the morning before I get up and even opening my eyes, I use my third eye and just call on the angels and say, in light and love, bring the dream back to me.
Right.
Does it always work? Not always, but I would say the majority of the time it does. And if they sent me a dream message that night, it will come back. It won't be as long, it will be shorter, more
Right.
brief, but it does. Where I might have had more color in the dream, in my third eye, when it comes through, it's all black and white.
Right.
So again, I believe that's part of the true angel. How it would manifest, that scarier form, is in that third eye,
Right.
coming through that way. And of course, they talk to you. They will bring you messages, consciously, subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
People always used to say, you've got the angel on one shoulder, the devil on another.
Mm-hmm.
That's your angel talking to you. Your gut, your intuition, that's your angel talking to you.
Okay.
Now, angel, devil, you've
Right.
got your angels in light and love that are bringing you the positivity and the motivating pieces. You've also got the dark and the fallen angels.
Right. Now,
People say, well, what's the difference between a fallen angel and a dark
that's
angel?
what I was going to ask you, because you know where I'm going slightly, slowly. Because I always tell people I live in two worlds, the paranormal and the airy fairy. And these two do not get along, just so the world knows. They don't get along.
No, no.
And I'm like this beautiful blend of both going, oh,
Right. Oh. And of course, it's all subjective. So for
yeah.
those of you who are listening and watching, this is where I'm at in my journey with
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Um, I believe fallen angels can be us,
Mhm.
that we are the fallen angels.
Could be. Yeah.
I also believe fallen angels can be the energy angels that we would say are angels, where
Hmm.
you have we'll say good cop, bad cop angels.
Right.
Angels have free will.
Mhm.
So the fallen angels are those that have chosen to step away from their chosen path, but then they step back into it,
Okay.
which is why you have to be very careful when you call on the angels. First of all, you don't pray to them
Right.
because they're not God or gods. They are simply energies created by the divine.
Right.
Um, so you talk to them like you and I are talking right now.
Hmm.
But you always preface it with enlightened love,
Right.
because Azrael is known as the angel of death.
Right.
Azrael can go to the dark side. Azrael can go to the light side. So I had a comment on one of my posts the other day from someone that said, well, what about Azazel? I haven't responded to that person yet because Azazel is a fallen angel.
Right.
Not everybody believes that.
Hmm.
And I have to know who the person is before I can comment on where Azazel stands, if that makes
It
sense.
does. Well, it does. Yeah. Because, like I said, I live in both worlds. So I get it.
Right. And then, of course, you have the truly fallen angels,
Right.
that way back that we heard about.
Hmm.
Um, they are permanently fallen.
Right.
There is no coming back for them.
Right.
And then you have the Nephilim, which boy, I'm hoping to talk to Mike Ricksecker sometime and Chris Fleming to get them on one of my podcasts
Oh,
to
just
talk
ask.
about the Nephilim.
You can ask either one of them. They'll show up and they'll probably have
Right.
conversations. Oh, they're amazing. Well, I love them
Yeah.
both.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have both of them on at the same time to talk
Yeah.
about the Nephilim, because they come from the book of Enoch.
Okay.
And there are people, and it might be Mike and it might be Chris, that would say, and the Nephilim are still with us.
Mm-hmm.
They are the angels that mated with the humans.
Mm-hmm.
The book of Enoch is no longer in any sacred text.
Right.
It was part of the mysticism of the Hebrews that
Yeah.
took it out.
But I
Well, there
truly believe
again, it was man that took it out.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it didn't agree with what your ego, what your time in the world was saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find the book of Enoch incredibly interesting, and I don't think that we should discount it.
Right. No, I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. I agree with you. You know,
Yeah.
and people don't God, that's a whole, I'm just thinking to myself, that's a step to step on. You know what I mean? Because I'm always like, people, I love the Bible, but trust me, that Bible, it's got a lot of missing parts, tons of missing parts. And then when I was just explaining it to a friend that is actually the Roman Catholic, I looked at her, I said, you know what, growing up, I was the kid that spent the night at all my friends' house, and all of them went to church, and all of them had different religions. And I could pick up my King James version of my Bible that my mom just had floating around the house. I could pick that up and take it to every religious gathering I went to. And I could use the same book for I never went to the Book of Mormon, but because I didn't know any Mormon people, but I could have gone to every single church with the same book. And the book didn't change. How they were talking about the book changed. Their views on the book changed, but the book didn't change. So I had a very strong belief growing up that religion really was just, I'm not going to go like an organized way to, corral cattle like a lot of people think. But I think religion is based on what somebody's certain view is of a book that really is not fully intact. You know what I mean? And that's my view on religion. So I go from the form of faith and what my soul remembers. And I have a lot of different views, and a lot of people do, especially as I get older and wiser, and I really open up to what my views are and go, wait a second. No, I'm not going to follow a book again, there's a lot of missing pieces. That's my soapbox, and I'm going to leave it at that very small box.
Well, and again, it's open to interpretation. Look at how many versions of scripture there are.
Yes.
Not just the Bible, but the Torah and the Quran, all of those. Although Torah and Quran, they will say, well, there's not as many different versions of that as there are the Bible.
Right.
But why are there the different interpretations? Because every time a generation has gotten to a certain point, they're going, well, I think we can do one better.
Mm-hmm.
My belief is religion is what man believes. Spirituality is what the energy of the universe has presented to us to grow and learn
Mm-hmm.
and come to a level that we in no way can begin to understand now, but at some point in time, we will.
Right. Yep. And I truly believe that, because I do honestly, and I'm sure you feel the same way. And I could probably ask you, but I'm going to assume that you do, that with as much as you do know, and I would love to have hours, if not weekends with you, just to go, wow, Jodi, you know what I mean? Just, if nothing else, to confirm everything I know in my heart. Does that make sense? Just the confirmation.
Absolutely.
Because I think as we get older and we open up to, I don't want to say what is possible, but what is, I don't want to say reality, because I think those are all really wrong words, but really just what is. Let's just put it as just what is the truth, what is the knowledge of it. And coming from some person that, I went to a lot of different churches and this and that, and have had a lot of beliefs put on me, and none of them resonate. And I've kind of made up my own belief inside of me based on what I know. And I think it's lifetimes of knowing, and that part coming through as a truth now. Does that make sense to you? And I think as I get older, and I get more secure within myself as a person to stand on my own box and say, you know what, I don't need to take that on. I will entertain it. I will listen to you, and I'm not going to
Right.
judge you, and I'm not going to counteract it, because really it's not my place to counteract it. But in my heart of heart, I just know it's not the truth of some things. You know what I
Right.
mean? And as I get older, I'm finding that there's a deeper truth or a deeper understanding that is just kind of going, here you go. It's like, I feel like I could sit down and have a conversation with you that would go on for days. And I have
Mhm.
absolutely no book knowledge on it, but just soul knowledge. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And sit down with you, and you'd go, no, yeah. And I'd be like, and you'd be like, well, how do you know? I don't know how I know. It's there. It's an understanding. But I think that's where an old soul comes in, is because you have been there for eons.
Right. Well, and I absolutely love what you're saying, and I am a firm believer in what you're saying. And
Right.
we would probably have to be pried apart if
Right.
we're ever allowed the luxury of all that time to just sit and talk with each other.
Right.
But that is what is so needed,
Mhm.
is for people to talk about what is on their heart,
Right.
because that's truly what it is. It's a mind and heart piece.
Okay.
I don't have all the answers. You
No.
don't have all the answers.
No.
But we sit and we talk about what we do know.
Mhm.
We listen to what the other person knows, and we sit with it.
Yes.
We can't, everything is right now. I need an answer. You've got to tell me. And that's not how it works. It truly doesn't. We need to take that step back and slow down and sit
Mhm.
with what is being given to us,
Right.
and realize that we don't have all the answers. We are still learning. I love, I heard the phrase, I'm a lifelong learner, back when I was like in my 20s. At that point in time, I'm going, but I'm really tired of college and stuff right now. I don't want to learn
Right.
anymore. But it's that other type of learning. It's the soul learning
Yeah.
that it does. It goes on. It's lifelong, and our lives don't end. Our lives go all the way back, like I said, to the beginning of time. That's when our souls were created,
Yeah.
and they're rolling along here
Right.
for who knows how long. And that lifelong learning is where, like, you and I could sit and talk for days.
Right. Yeah. And well, I have a question on that. Then what is your thought on this? Because we've talked a lot about old souls. And recognizing old souls, I tend to recognize young souls and go, oh God.
Yes, yes.
I do. I go,
Yep,
and
yep, that deep
they're
sigh.
they're beautiful, but you just take a sigh and you go, this is gonna take a significant amount of time today that I'm gonna just have to open up my day now for, and it's okay, because this is we're passing for a reason. But you just stated something that, you know what, all souls were created, or souls were created at the beginning of time. So were all souls created at the beginning of time? Or have we been creating through, like we do children, you know what I mean? And some have just chosen not to come and get experience and stay in that realm for a while, where other one, you know what I mean? Does
Hmm.
the question make sense without asking a question? You know? I love how you look at me and you're like, God, this is like, I know where she's
That
going with this, but she doesn't want to confirm what she's she's got.
that that is such a valid question.
I
It really
just made a
is.
ball and threw it at you though and said you finished the ball.
Um, and again, this is the way I see it at
Right,
this point in my soul life.
right.
Um, I believe, and I know I'm not alone in this, that souls choose whether or not they want to come back.
Yes.
Now, do souls combine? That I'm still working on that one.
Okay. Yeah.
DNA combines,
Right.
but our souls are energy.
Right.
Is there energy in our DNA? And if so, how much is there?
Right.
Because supposedly the DNA is all these little minute little
Right.
cells,
Right.
and everything. Is that the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
see, these are people that I want to talk to too.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, we should just start gathering in some of these medical people and scientists and start picking their brains.
Exactly. Well, I do desperately because now that we're on this conversation, neuroscience has already started to work with the medium's brain to prove that my brain, I'm not making stuff up, that my brain really is
Yes.
wired for this. Well, then I want to go, let's take it another level. Let's go to the soul. So, is it that my soul has lived enough lifetimes to learn how to incorporate with this body and bring a lot of its natural abilities of the soul into one body and incorporate it to where my brain is no longer limited to just what the body is, and that the actual, do you understand where I'm going, where before I get too
Yes.
thick? But like this beautiful pairing where the soul's gone, my soul's just said, oh hell no, you're not putting me in that thing and make me be limited. And I think my soul has said that, like, no. I can't, I will go, but you're not limiting me in that body. So therefore you got to rewire that brain thing, that whatever you're going to limit me in. And we need to wire this in a different way so that I can still act somewhat as I do with just a soul. Hopefully that makes sense.
So now my response to that is I believe that our soul is our heart and our mind.
Right.
And that's where our soul can make the decision to come back in this limiting thing, because I believe it's our heart that keeps us limitless.
Yes.
So those two combined, I believe really is what our soul is
Right.
it's the heart and the mind,
I love that.
that energy force.
Well, it makes
Some
sense.
people go more to the mind, other people go more to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are those, as we level up,
Right.
that get better at balancing.
Mm-hmm.
The young souls, as you call them,
Yeah.
they're all up here because it's all ego.
Yes.
They haven't learned how to control the ego.
Right.
And the ego's going to screw with this
Mm-hmm.
every time,
Oh yeah.
to where they make bad decisions, see perspective only with tunnel vision,
Right.
and they haven't opened up. They need to have that awakening. They need to start their enlightenment. It's a different timing for everybody.
Yeah. I also like the fact that as we're conversating, I'm seeing that, how that whole adage, we only use 10% of the brain. And then I'm going, well, why would we be given 90 other percent of it? We only use 10. And I'm going, to me, that 10% that we're only using is just, if you would look at it as a gas meter or something, you're only using so much of it, but you have that ability to fill it all the way up. But you know what? It takes money, it takes time, it takes effort to fill that up, if you're looking at a gas gauge. So the brain, we're only using 10% at this point in life, at this point as a populace in life. And as we evolve and as we grow, as that soul learns, and I do believe that once you start to get rid of the ego, all of a sudden that ego piece of your brain, it starts to open up the rest of it. It's like a doorway to open it up to say, you can use the brain, you can fill it all the way up. If you take the time and the effort to learn how to do it and to open it and go, wait a second, it isn't limited, it is limitless. And that's the reason why we've gotten the rest of the 90%, because I really think the creator went, you know what, I'm only doing this once. Y'all are idiots. You're born idiots. Eventually you're going to use the whole thing. But I know this is going to take eons of time. So I don't want to refabricate you in 5,000 years. We're going to do this once and give you room to grow.
Yep. I have to check my phone for a second, Dia, quick.
You're good. I do it all the time. I hear it, I pick it up, I put it down. I pick it up, I put it down.
My daughter is in surgery to have a disc replaced in her neck. And
Oh,
so all of a sudden my phone was blipping, 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 and I thought, "Ooh, I better
you
check."
have to check that.
But yeah, no, we're okay.
Prayers to
So
her. Prayers to her, you know?
yeah, she's two bulging discs, and so major pain, numbness. I mean, it's been crazy, and all
Mm,
brought on with her dad's passing, as we
I
already
see.
talked about
Yeah.
last November. So she's lived with this for quite a while, stenosis and
Oh.
all of that. Yeah, so we've had prayer chains and angels going all morning here.
Oh, well, you just got an added one because I'm gonna put it on there too, you know what I mean? So, I love it, and I know everybody here is usually at a prayer train, so maybe not ours, but she just got added to a bunch more, so
All right, good,
I love this.
love it.
You know, Jodi, I am so thankful you came on and said yes. This is not the direction I thought this conversation was gonna go at all. You know, I always tell people, and it's so funny because it is, you know, people with these amazing names that they've built, I look at them and go, I don't Google people because I want to get to know you here. I want to,
Mhm.
if I know what you're about, I'm going to lead that conversation, you know, in a certain way that I want a conversation to go. And I like to cut my ego out of it and go, you know, it's just going to go wherever it's going to go naturally,
Right,
you know?
absolutely.
And so,
Yeah, that's the way I do my podcast too,
yeah,
is I just I know that bare minimum, and it's like, okay, I know we're gonna have something to talk about.
yes,
And the main thing is the message that comes through for all the people that are watching and listening,
yeah,
because that's what you and I are for, is we're here to bring messages to people.
yes,
We're part of that message chain that helps with the
right.
whole healing process, that opens us up so
Yeah,
we can level up.
level up. You know, before I let you go, because you do have survivor angels.
Yes.
Talk about that for a minute because I want people to realize that all of this information really is so valid, but I also know it helps in what you do too. You know what I mean? So they just got to know Chaplain Jodi, but they didn't get to know what Chaplain Jodi does. You know what I mean? So let's talk about that for. I'm going to keep you over if you don't mind, but you know, just to be able to kind of, you know, tell people what this is and what it is you do on this earth to really help people.
So I created Survivor Angels to help people who have experienced trauma or who struggle with life, as we've talked about
Right.
during our time here. And they need something that can help them, that's beyond the conventional norm,
Right.
because they're either afraid of it, or they don't trust it, or they just simply feel like, I can do this myself. Well, you can't, as you and I both know.
Right, you can't.
When these things come up, we need help from outside sources, to put
Right.
it. So, with my background being an ordained pastor, a former Army chaplain, and a trauma survivor myself,
Mhm.
I developed this approach to show people how effective the angels are in their lives. They've been there since day one, again, going all the way back. They
Right.
just need to open themselves to the angels. And that's what Survivor Angels does, is it shows them how to do it. So I have a daily celebration, not celebration, cerebration, which is, it's a celebrating meditation is what it is. So
Okay.
I have those every day on a specific focus that then has the specific or several archangels, maybe not
Right.
just one, how to call them in with that peace. And again, it's
Mhm.
not to pray to them, it's sort of like a mantra for the day.
Right.
I also have the podcast that generally drops every Sunday. It's recorded, just because sometimes it's tough to get people, as you know, and so to accommodate my guests, I just record it and then I drop it on Sundays, and you can find it on YouTube and Spotify and iHeart and anywhere you can get podcasts, basically.
Right.
And I bring on people who can specifically point out to where angels help them in a traumatic situation. So
Mhm.
it could be from um, rainbow babies,
Okay.
where, moms who lost their children before they were born or during childbirth,
Right.
law enforcement, first responders, abuse and violence survivors. I don't believe anybody is a survivor anymore. once the situation has passed, or it isn't a victim anymore, I should say, once a situation has passed, you are now a survivor. You have survived that incident, that situation. And that's why I call it survivor angels.
Right.
So I have all these things on my website. I have daily plans, both for during the day and the evening, to help you keep that positivity and keep your angels with you.
Right.
Tons of resources on there, and that's who I designed it for. And I think as people listen to the podcast, I know they can identify with it, because I will get messages afterwards saying, I so needed that today. I'll even get it from the celebrations a lot of times too. I
Right.
do both the podcasts and the celebrations based on what the angels tell me to do.
Right.
So if they are saying, you need to talk to this person and get it on this date, that's what I do. The celebration messages, if this is the focus, it's because the angels have given it to me. And it's this particular angel or this one archangel that is bringing me the message for that celebration. So
Okay.
that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's been times where I've thought, okay, I've kind of outlived this. Um, it's maybe time for me to quit. And then, darn if those angels aren't going, nope, you aren't going anywhere.
Yep.
So I'm
That has
still here.
recently happened to me.
Still here, and we're just going to keep rolling as long as the angels keep telling me to.
I love that. I love that. And I think I'm gonna start watching, because like I said, I got this new, I'm gonna say, thing I'm working with. I don't even know what it is. So and I'm probably gonna get a lightning bolt down my back for calling it a thing, but I don't know what you are. You gave me a name. I don't know what the name is. And you know,
Right? We just roll with it.
and
Yeah.
that's all I'm doing is
And
rolling with it. You
yes,
know.
I do have classes on Teachable. Also, I do them one at a time. I don't like to put out a bunch,
Right.
because then people start getting confused. Well, which one should I take?
Yeah.
And right now, I know I've got just the intro course that's on those there. So for anybody who's listening, if you want, just kind of come in at ground level. If you don't have a clue about who these angels
Right.
are, feel free to check it out.
Well, how do they find that?
All they have to do is just Google Survivor Angels Chaplin Jodi Teachable,
Okay.
and the link should pop up.
Awesome. I love that, because I think a lot of people will jump on and say, hey, I want to go learn about this. I really do.
Right.
I know I want to. That's all there's to. I want to.
Yes. So, and I have to bring this up.
Please do.
Orbs, and do we have time?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. People who understand the paranormal know about orbs.
Yes.
A lot of times, orbs, you just discount them as moisture in the air, dust floating through the air, bugs, whatever the case might be. Angels can come to you in the form of orbs. And I
Right.
think I think it's on the current class that's on Teachable. You will actually see angel orbs in one of the videos that I did.
Wow.
And it was so cool, because I had stopped the video to go do something, and I came back and sat down, and the video was rolling. And I know I'd stopped it because I always make sure.
Right.
Um, and so it's like, okay, the video was rolling. Well, next thing, I see the orbs start. And they weren't in a pattern of me sitting down and
Mhm.
picking up dust
Right.
or anything like that. And I just sat there for several minutes, and they never settled, and they just kept going. And they were there just to say, for anybody who's taking the class, we're here like this.
I love that.
Yes. And then when we were in Ireland, um, another gal that we were with, my husband was with her. They were at a jail in Ireland, and she took this picture and she showed it to my husband. I just didn't happen to go to that investigation,
Right.
and he goes, "You need to show Jodi that." And so she sent it to me, and it was an angel, no doubt in my mind, that orb. And the one way that you will know if you capture a picture of an orb, if there is a shape in it.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a shape in the orb, it's an angel. And hers was actually a halo that was in the orb.
Wow.
Blew me away.
I'm going to start watching now.
Yeah. So don't always discount the orbs as it's not a spirit,
Mm-hmm.
because it might be
An
an angel.
I'm going to start looking for them more often, because I don't tend to be the person going looking for orbs. So I'm going to start looking now. I know I find fairies and orbs, and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I'll take a picture and there they are. And I'm like, got my proof.
Right.
So every time. Oh, thank you so much, Jodi, for coming on. I appreciate. Now I've got everybody calling you Miss Jodi, just so you know.
Okay.
You'll be the northern with Southern Belle. That's all there is to it. You're the northern.
There you
Southern
go.
Belle. You are now in a few different realms. There you
All
go.
right.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Please go and see her. And I did just Google it. So, so I got it up so I can join. It is Survival Angels, Chaplin Jodi Teachables. It's that easy. You're going to see your name come up all over the place. Please go and log in, create your account, and learn about the angels. Learn about this, because trust me, this subject is much deeper than what you think it is. It's not airy-fairy that we have been told all of our lives. This isn't just feathers and wings. There's a whole world you don't know about.
Right.
So, thank you,
There's a warrior army out there for everybody.
Thank you so much. I know I'm going to. So there you go. There you go. Well, thank you, Miss Jodi. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you again. Hopefully it's within a couple of weeks,
Yes. Yes, it is in a couple of weeks. Yes. And thank you so much for having me on, Deanne. And I know this won't be our last conversation.
No, gosh, no. We got many more to go. Many, many more. It's just the only time we've had an hour to sit down and talk. So beautiful, beautiful. Everybody else, I'll be back in a few minutes with your weekly reading. This is Dad here with School Through Spirit, WLTK-DB.com. Thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, darling.
Looking for a unique paranormal experience? The Haunted Rock Island YMCA Paracon, October 7th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is just the event you're looking for. You will have the opportunity to investigate the Haunted Rock Island YMCA with ACG Paranormal. Visit with over 60 paranormal and metaphysical vendors from 8 or more states. And pre-order your t-shirts at dvinar@aol.com. Visit a psychic gallery reading, mediums, tea leaf reading, animal communication, dream interpretation, aura reading, tarot and oracle card readings, or get a Reiki healing. See a demonstration of the Estes method by Carly Bird. Presentations by Nick Simons and Aaron G. Thompson of 28 Days Haunted, Greg Bakken from Ghostbox Radio, and headliner Rick Hayes, along with many folks you'll see on Paraflix. Be sure to like and follow our sponsors: Paraflix, WLTK-DB Talk Radio LLC, Studio 6 Productions, Unturned Pages, and Ocean Eye Crystals. General admission is only $5, and all proceeds go directly to the Haunted Rock Island YMCA. For more information on the Haunted Rock Island YMCA Paracon and vendors, look for them on Facebook under Events.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Diet here on School Through Spirit with WLTK-DB.com. I've had the joy of having Chaplin Jodi from Survivor Angels here. I do know this has been a very deep conversation, guys, with a lot of uncharted territory for a lot of people, and possibly even going back against some beliefs. But like I'm always there, we're always bringing on new guests, new beliefs, new angles, new ways of looking at things, just to expand people, or to put something out there that, you know what, somebody might resonate with. You never know. So, and that's what we're about. I mean, I firmly believe in everything that Miss Jodi's talking about today, but I do understand that not everybody is, and that's okay. But if you are, again, go to Survivor Angels, Chaplin Jodi Teachables. You can find her there. You can find all of her information there. Follow her on her website. She truly is just an amazing soul, an amazing person. I love her. I love Jodi. You wouldn't even believe it. So we're going to do our weekly reading here with our 5-card stud. I'm going to do a little shuffling and go from there. So we are using the Oracle of the 7 Energies today. Why? Because it's a fun deck. It's a fun deck. So the first one. Oh, and by the way, guys, pick your cards 1 through 5. You can pick 1 card, 2 cards, all cards, no cards, whatever you want. Put them all together. I will tell the individual card means in case you picked 1 card at a time. And when we're done, I will bring them all together for you. Okay. And yes, Tim, what are we going to do to you today? We're going to start right now. So card number 1 is the Land of In Between. The Land of Between. Isn't that incredible? As I see this, as you see, it says the land between, but you know what? This week when I'm looking at this card, the land is hooked. It's connected. It's not separate from the main island. It's not separate from anything. Although the illusion is that it is separate, it's out there, you have created a bridge to safely get there and safely get back and to wander both ways. Now, because this card could be an optical illusion, is the land closer to you than what you think it is? And I do think that's where you're sitting at. You're feeling that you're in a space that's stuck. You're in a space going, I'm waiting to see what happened. But really, is it just kind of that optical illusion for you that you're going, wait a second, I've safely navigated there. I can safely navigate back. And this is just a new world for you, a new world that maybe you weren't so used to. And you're not in a holding pattern. You're just in a place of going, you know what? I'm getting used to something. This is new to me. I'm getting used to it. I am still safe. I'm not lost. And this card is what I do feel is that's depicting. Now, the next one is, oh my gosh, willing to release. I love this card. Oh my gosh, I love this card and the willing to release. Why? Because when you look at this cards, they're clearly dandelions, but they're no longer yellow. They have transformed, and they transformed in that thing that all you have to do, the slightest blow, the slightest amount of air will help this to release and go all over. And as we teach children with these are 1,000 wishes, 1,000 wishes. And that's where you're at in life. You're ready you've gone through the transformation. Everything's happened, and you're ready to let go of all that stuff into the world. And all those things that you're letting go are all opportunities. You're letting them out. They're opportunities waiting for you to go and grab onto, allow the doors to open and walk through. But really, which one are you going to follow? And it's just showing that you're ready to manifest your new life. Card number 3 is Divine Matrix. Crazy stuff is happening. Crazy stuff is happening in this one. And when I'm looking at the Divine Matrix, it is because so often we sit there and we're going, oh my God, why is this happening again? Oh my God, all this craziness. It's telling me you got a lot going on in your life right now. And you're going, why the heck is this happening? But it is a divine matrix. And what that means is everything is happening the way it needs to and the way it has to for you or your best outcome. Okay. I know life might be feeling a little crazy right now, but what this means is that it is happening for a reason. Growth is happening. Everything is happening. Everything's got to get mixed up in order to be laid back out again. But everything will get laid out because it is. It's supposed to be happening the way it is. Trust in that. The next card is a higher view. Ooh, isn't that a cool card? It is the horned owl in this card. Divine view. It tells me if you pick this card, it is time for you to step back and look at this in a higher view. Why? Everything has got a bigger picture. We so often get into our small little areas and we see things from this little pee-hole side. But really, when you step back and you go, what really is this? And you look at this big viewpoint of everything. all of a sudden it is that bigger view, and you start to see why everything's happening the way it is. And then you see it's really not that bad. So look at stuff from a higher view or a bigger view. And the last card for this is Beyond the Ordinary. Beyond the Ordinary. Isn't that cool? Because when you look beyond the ordinary, it tells me that you are finally going into a different place, that you're going, you know what? I just don't fit into the box where people have put me. I got to climb out of this box. I don't fit in with everybody. I've evolved to a point where, you know what? I'm just not the person you knew I was. I'm not the person I know I am anymore. And that's okay, because I can't go into Walmart and shop on the shelves anymore. I might have to create my own clothes. I might have to go to a boutique for this and something else for this. And I'm just creating me now and who I am. And that's what this card's about, because you are now in a recreation of you. And trust that you don't have to fit into a box. Make your own box, except for make sure you got at least 3 to 4 walls that come down that you can put back up for safety, but you can always put them down and climb back out of it just as easy. So card number 1 was the land between. Card number 2 is willingness release. 3 is that divine matrix. 4 is a higher view. And 5 is beyond the ordinary. Now, the cool thing is when I put all this together, this tells me we got evolution happening this week. And I love that. I love it. Now, this can be a really grand scale or it can be a smaller scale, but you do have a lot of evolution. And when you get to the end of the week, you're going to look back and go, wait a second. Gosh, I've changed. Gosh, I'm not even close to the person I used to be. And you're going to be able to see how everything is kind of fit together to make who you are at this point. And what this tells me is that when you finally get to that point this week where you look back and go, holy crap, all of a sudden you're going to look forward and you're going to go, but what's next? I've always known what's next. And that's the beauty of this, is that you're going to go, I don't know what next is. I just have to kind of wing it now. I have to kind of go with a roll now. Why? Because now everything that you've had mapped out and you've had charted is no longer fitting on that plan anymore. And that is totally okay. That is totally okay. So that is that with this week. And happy to it, because I'll tell you what, it's been weeks and days and months and years and everything in the process for all that to kind of come together. So that's pretty cool. That we're going to put these away and grab the Beyond Lemuria cards, because we all know I love that. I love this deck. I love the wordiness of it. I love the wordiness of this deck. Let's bring it together just to finish you off with it. Oh my gosh, got to get it down. Oh, my hand, guys. I finally feel like I'm getting, they told me it would take a year to heal this hand. And I'm finally this week, something, I don't know if it popped or what. It's not totally better yet, but it made a vast difference this week, which is awesome, So let's bring one of these cards. And I don't know if I felt like I had to tie that, but I felt like I had to tie that. So let's bring in our card to bring it all up. Isn't that gorgeous? It is the Violet Flame card. It says, as we deepen our spiritual path, step out of the illusionary constructs and become empowered beings. Life presents more opportunities to grow than before. Your sensitivity will be heightening, so it may be harder to spend time in places with certain energies. Do you have a range of accessible go-to practices for recentering, cleansing your aura, and protecting your energy field? A routine for psychic fitness will keep your aura strong and resilient. Your energy survive. I can't say the word. Sovereign, your energy sovereign, and your vibrational high, and help you to see your illusions that block or disorientate. Bring the violet flame into your meditation and self-care practices for graceful rebalance. And I think this is cool because this card really does fit in with all of it. Because as this week you're going, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling steady. I'm not feeling safe. I'm not whatever it is you're not feeling. This card is telling you to bring this violet flame in, because what it's going to do is it's going to help you to kind of recenter and allow all this transformation to happen, so that when you walk back out of it, you're going to be walking into a much better, safer feeling. It's just going to be different than what you know, guys. And that's totally okay. It's totally okay. Okay, guys. Well, let's talk about this week. Now, this week, our shows, I don't even know you know what? I'm not going to bring that up because I don't know what the shows are this week. I don't know what they are. And that's okay. Because this week, guys, you're just going to have to do me a favor. You're going to have to tune into WLTK-DB and watch to see who's still here, who's not until the end of the month. Because as you know, we are dissolving the station, and that's totally okay. Keep following us, because certain ones of us are going to keep going. We might be on other stations. We might be on our own someplace. We might be joining with people. We don't know. We don't know. This is our week to really play all those cards out to see where we're going to be. So this week, just tune into the station, turn into your favorite host. We're going to be keeping you all apprised to what's going on, but we will all see you soon. Okay. For me, I will be here next week. Next week, you will see me. My book has been closed, except it has opened a couple of times. Not much, though. I want to talk about who I have on next week. I have got Kara Phillip on next week. You're going to love Kara. Kara's awesome. She's got such amazing energy. You're going to love the hell out of her. So make sure you tune in with me next week. Still, for everybody listening, I do have 2 classes starting this week. I have got my beginners class. Oh my gosh, that starts tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And it really is just starting to delve into spirituality. It's not spirituality. Oh my God. Psychic mediumship, your abilities, your senses. It's starting to bring you into those to really start to work with them and see where we're going with them. It really gives you that strong foundation. And that's my beginners class. That is on Zoom. It goes for 7 weeks, or it goes for 8 weeks, guys. 8 weeks with 7 classes, where we do meet every week on Zoom, and I do send out the lessons to you, and we go over those things. And it does have weekly homework. It does. Why? Because you can't grow unless you're practicing. I also had advanced class starting, advanced 1 starting, Wednesday. And if you're a person that feels, you know what, you've got this, you've got a lot of hold on this, but you just really want to do more, jump into my advanced class. Again, that is going to be starting Wednesday at 7 p.m. Again, it is on Zoom. With this class, though, guys, we are really pushing it hard. The class has got 6 lessons. It is every other week. There is a lot involved in these lessons, but you get your bang for your buck, because you're going to walk out definitely a changed person, knowing yourself a lot better, knowing a lot more about everything out there, and really pushing your abilities to the 10th, which is awesome. This weekend, you're going to find me in Ashland, Wisconsin, and that is with Soul and Synergy up in Ashland, Wisconsin, and it's going to be amazing. I always love going up to Ashland. It is a 2-day event. I don't even know if I have the gallery or not, guys. You're just going to have to show up to see if I have a gallery, if I'm talking, if I'm just going to do the readings. Who knows what's going to happen, but I'm going to be there. So make sure you show up. Again, Ashland, Wisconsin. Google Soul and Synergy, or follow me on Facebook, and I'll post exactly what's going on. For everybody that's been listening today, thank you so much for all your support. Can't tell you how much I love you. I show up every week for you guys, because truly, you guys keep me going, guys. You guys keep me going. You guys keep me wanting to continue to do this. But this has been Dayat here on Schooled Through Spirit with WLTK-DB.com. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.